I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P and... where am I? This is a segment of the show where I talk about trends and news going on in animation. And yeah, you've seen the title, and there's bound to be a lot of people up on my grill. But before I go into that, here's something I've wanted to get off my chest for years. But I've always felt like it would lead me to constant humiliation and constant isolation. But here's the thing. You know Billy West's? I don't like a lot of his voice work. I'm sorry, okay? Alright? Come on! Hey! Come on!
Ooh, you suck!
Let me make something perfectly clear. I don't hate Billy West, and I do think he's had a couple of memorable voices for characters like Stimpy, Zoidberg, or anything Larry Fine related. However, growing up watching cartoons at the time, it's easy to tell apart whose voices were done by certain actors. And it really seemed like Billy West was this go-to guy that he was in everything to the point where he was also included in bad cartoons. Sometimes I can't even blame him if he was given bad direction and writing to work with. After a while, it felt obvious when he was doing voice work, especially for characters that have been well known for years. Watching Space Jam, I never liked his voice for Bugs Bunny since it sounded more like a Billy West impression of the character rather than Bugs Bunny as Mel Blanc did it. At the same time, I don't feel like voice actors get the credit they deserve since to the general movie and TV going public, they're not as well known as on-screen performers. This leads to a growing animosity among animation fans who see celebrities play cartoon characters when the filmmakers could have saved a lot of money and hired somebody whose specialty is voicing cartoon characters. But it really made me think, does voice acting really matter? It really comes down to a lot of factors. Does it matter if someone specializes in voicing cartoon characters when we can have good writing, animation, and voice manipulation that can allow any person to play a certain character? How about if it matters to have a specific role for a kid to be played by one as opposed to a talented voice actor who can act like a kid? Or how about if there's an asset on the marketing side of things to have a popular celebrity to voice a cartoon? Now let's start with it as a specialty. A lot of this comes from news about recent animated films and shows easily replacing voice actors even when the movie is past pre-production and into post. I remember when Despicable Me 2 came out, the big controversy was how the villain played by Al Pacino was replaced with Benjamin Bratt. Now if this were done before the lines were recorded, this shouldn't be an issue. However, the news came a couple of months before the film was released. At this point, his name was already on posters and trailers. But if you think that wasn't enough, almost the whole cast of the new Pixar movie was swapped for new actors with most of the animation completed. So my point is, if people make such a big deal on whose voice a character is, then how come it seems like they could easily be replaced? I think another factor that plays into decisions like this just don't come from the voice acting alone. With the film The Good Dinosaur has shifted all of its voice actors, the film itself has gone through some creative differences. Originally the film changed directors during production. Therefore the film had to go through different creative choices that include the characters. So if the character changes, then the voice has to be changed as well. Most notably in the movie Shrek. When the late Chris Farley passed away, Mike Myers took over, therefore leading to a film that was on its way to completion to have to go back to the drawing board. So with that, they had to change the character since, let's be honest, Chris Farley's pretty irreplaceable.
Hey, so when did you run into Will Smith? When did you run
Over the weekend, you stupid bitch!
So this brings us to the celebrity. While I can see how having a celebrity play a character can seem more like a marketing gimmick to get people to see the films, it wasn't always like that. We rarely got a celebrity to voice a cartoon character prior to the 90s. Voice acting was a specialty for people trained in radio and off-screen performances. A lot of people credit one film to the boom in celebrity voice work, that film being Disney's Aladdin. As great as it was to have the late Robin Williams play the genie, it also set the trend of poorly matched celebrities to star in lesser-known animated films from the likes of Fox and Warner Brothers. But the one thing these executives got wrong was that it was not only Williams perfectly matched for the role, he wasn't a stranger to animation. Coincidentally, when Aladdin was made into a TV show and a terrible direct-to-video sequel, they had the voice of Homer Simpson play the character. However, rather than change the character to cater to Dave Castellaneta's range, he was pretty much doing a Robin Williams impersonation. Ironically, Castellaneta has more experience as a voice actor than does Williams, and it's here where the big celebrity does a better job. This leads me to believe that despite some actors who are simply doing voice work for a paycheck, it's no different if they were going to be taking a paycheck for a live-action film. If this were the case, then having the same voice actors for Teen Titans to Teen Titans Go makes it one of the best cinematic marvels on television. No, Teen Titans Go is terrible. So recently, the big news is how they were going to have a rebooted Powerpuff Girls show and hire a new talent that includes new voice actresses to play the main characters. Coming off of some tweets from the original voice actresses, it seems as if the decision to change the actresses didn't involve them. While I don't know what happens beyond closed doors and getting my sources from a couple of tweets, I don't know if people are supposed to be upset about this. The original creator already got his hands tied up in other projects, so with a new creative team, it's clear they're gonna take the franchise in a new direction. So by having new voice actresses is one of those choices. Also, given that they're using actual girls as opposed to grown-ups like in the original, seems like an interesting choice. So in the end, I do think voice acting still matters, but there are other factors that should be acknowledged before people throw temper tantrums because Tara Strong isn't gonna voice Bubbles again. It always comes down to resources the creative teams are working with, and who's voicing the character comes along the way. Sometimes the animation is completed or in process of completion prior to the animation getting completed. While the creators at times have a certain actor to play for a role, it all adds up throughout production is what determines if it's going to be good. Now Charlie Adler may have an impressive resume, but combined with the material he was given in Cow and Chicken, it really didn't work. So comment and let me know. I'm always curious to hear what your thoughts are. Now I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P, and before I end this video, here are a couple of my favorite voice actors. Mel Blanc is a given. He's voiced all the iconic characters we could think of in his prime, and even includes voice work for movies you didn't expect. Jim Cummings, mostly working on Disney projects, but he's really got an impressive range. Tara Strong. To this day, I would never have guessed that the voice of Dill Pickles was also the voice of Truffles from Chowder. And finally, and this one might surprise people, Tom Kenny. I think it says a lot when he can go between goofy and over-the-top characters to subtle and tragic ones like in Adventure Time. Now I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P, and thanks for watching, and I gotta figure out where the hell I am, man.